What's up, Grow fam? Doug here from Short Grow Hydro, New Jersey's highest rated grow shop. Sitting here today with two very fucking special guests, Jared and Gabe from New Mill. They're going to be talking about their tour and some secret tidbits that you may want to hear.
Going back to what I was saying earlier, I had never even gotten to it, but meanwhile, there's a guy out in California who's selling $2,000 ounces.
This was
recently
posted on social media.
Nick T posted it. I mean, like, it's not
a hidden thing.
Ain't some Trump ass who doesn't fucking. And I'm sure, not for nothing, knowing Nick was probably out there paying $500 for a quarter too. You know what I mean? Like, knowing Nick real well. I mean, Nick, you know, and he's not gonna post about shit like that unless it's actually
real.
Unless it's meaningful. Like, unless it's really, you know. And so to see that,
which his point was, by the way, people that are
doing
good work,
are doing good
work.
I've always likened to what we do, and it's funny because I've always likened what we do to wine. You know, I tell people, you know, a bottle of wine this big cost you $5, cost you $5,000, cost you $10,000. You know what I mean? Same size bottle of wine, and even when I'm making bananas amounts of money, really hard for me to justify buying a $5,000 bottle of wine. That's a lot of money. Whereas with cannabis, you know, I used to say the best weed, like, let's say it's blue with fucking pink hairs, you know, it's something you've never fucking seen. I always used to say it'd be about 150 an eighth, but we have now determined that it would be 250 an eighth. But it still won't be $5,000.
No.
And so that's one of the things that's really beautiful with cannabis that I've kind of, you know, hit on, is the fact that, like, you know, again, I'm out making deep in the six figures. I still ain't buying $5,000 of bottles of wine. But you have a guy who makes average money who will save $250 for that eighth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he'll scrimp and save, and then when he gets it, like, he'll break off little buds and but the beautiful thing about it is everybody has access to that. No matter the $2,000 ounce, the guy is going to find that $250 for that eighth. Where, again, it ain't $5,000, it ain't $10,000, and that's millionaire status. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about cannabis, is that people have access to the best cannabis out there. We just need to stop devaluing it by growing the same thing with the same thing the same way. Yeah. You know, we need one thing, you know, one thing I can say is, like, I've competed in a couple different grow-offs. I know they haven't made it quite back east yet as much, but they definitely will be, in which these guys from the grow-off, they basically, Jake and Sam, they basically...
I think they're in 8 states at this point.
They're in a bunch of states.
But
basically, everybody starts off with the same genetics. You know,
shit.
And
so, like, 50 people,
and it's not like the Solo Cup Challenge,
and they don't know what it is. So it's secret. It's secret until the end.
Jake and Sam know what it is, but
the competitors don't.
But the competitors don't know what it is.
And it's done with all testing. There's no it's actually no taste category whatsoever. There's obviously highest terpenes, but there's no smoking category to it. Oh. It's all data driven. And then they even take, well, the coolest part, I think, is that they take a picture of every one of them and put it on a poster for everyone, and it's bananas.
And dude, like,
how different they are. It's crazy.
The two that I think I competed in 3, I placed in 2. One, I got top 5 for yield, in which I got about 1,500 grams off a single plant, I think, and that was 5th. And we all get the same amount of time. Like, that we all have to do, like, get like 4 months. Yeah. So we all get the same amount of time. And then another one, I tested 5th for THC. I was 26%, I believe, and the winner was like 31, 32. So they beat me by quite a bit. But more of the most important thing that I really took from the competition, other than starting my own hash competition modeled after their idea, in which I took 6 of the same flower and had 6 hash makers
That's
make
cool.
their thing.
That's cool.
I actually
Hash off?
Yeah, well, my original one I called the Clementine Challenge,
Nice.
and then the ones following after that we actually called the Terp Trials. But I would actually give 6 different processors the same amount of the same material from the same garden.
Yeah.
See what kind of yields you get.
In which I can say, just like the flower, it does come out different. You know, I used to laugh at the term extract artist. Because you're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, especially when it was BHO. You're like, what are you doing? You're turning a couple dials, you're dealing with the temperature, but realistically, like, the difference between -30 and -40 makes a difference. How long they soak, the blend of BHO and butane, or a BHO and propane, all those different things make a difference.
All makes a difference.
And I can tell you the same thing happens with cultivation. You know, when you put up those 44 different buds, the one I was in, it was 44 different competitors. And when you look at all the different buds, they look different. So, and to be fair, I don't want my bud looking like my neighbor's. You know, one of the things I always preach with the crop salts is the fact that, like, you're growing 1,000 acres and you want the ear of corn on this side of your 1,000 to look exactly like the ear of corn on this side of your 1,000.
They're doing exactly what they're supposed to
because
do.
you're growing one
The
thing.
nutrients are,
You know, I mean, a prime example I use in the cultivation is I try to homogenize my rooms. I don't like growing more than really two strains in a room. I mean, ideally maybe 4, but you want plants that all feed the same, like the same light, like the same environment. You know, trying to grow some friggin' sativa in a room with Afghanis, you know, growing some OG.
Yeah, you gotta do a match with the GMO.
Yeah, OGs want to grow with OGs, you know, and even beyond that, like San Fernando Valley ain't gonna grow like Face Off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Other
they're gonna do
Gs,
different
they're
things.
not the same.
You know, my guys out in California who are super successful with SFV, fucking root it. They do like anywhere from like 48 to 64 on a 4x4. Literally, they root them. They flip them as soon as they root, and they grow sea of green, and it's like a vine. It's almost like a hot vine, you know. And so, and that's something that we, you know, definitely preach to people is like, be respectful of the cultivar that you are growing. Don't try and force it to do the shit that you want it to do.
Well, I talk a lot about it. It's like not every, especially like for my situation, not every strain is the right strain for me. I literally have to get it in. It can be an elite, but it might be an elite in your garden, but not mine.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's so true.
Or maybe I bring it from across the country, and it's like in Colorado. It just hates Colorado.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like, I brought shit back from Michigan, and it's just like, nope, not happening. But, you know, and one of the things that I'll leave people with, too, getting back to seeds, you know, pop your own shit, guys. Like, as far as what is phenotype, it's genotype, which is the genes, plus environment, equals phenotype. So, how are you going to get the best phenotype for your room? Select your shit out of your room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we talk a lot about like what I'll call either the HPS era or the Eagle 20 era and cuts that are coming out of that. Now I'm trying to take this where nobody uses Eagle 20 anymore, and it loved HPS, but I'm putting it under LED. That's weird. It's just not the same plant anymore. Well, no shit. You know what I mean? No shit. You know, so like pop your own stuff. You know, get stuff for your room, or at the very least, understand that you're going to have to do some trial and error to figure out what really works best in your room. Are you growing in a tent versus full room versus indoor versus outdoor? You know, there's a ton of genetics out there. There's a bunch of great growers or great breeders out there, and you know, when it comes to our stuff, obviously the most common stuff we plug in is the Winter Frost, is the Ruby Fulvic. You know, Ruby's a night source fulvic acid. Use it like literally it's Frank's Red Hot. Put that shit on everything. 5 mils a gallon, and then Winter Frost being the gateway jug. You put that in the second to last week. Standalone, more oil, more color, more individualization of your strains. It's a true home run. We've literally got it on anything from a closet guy all the way up to over 5 acres indoors that I have across the country. So reality is, you know, it makes sense commercially. We've got commercial sizing, all that kind of stuff as well. Clearly, you can get it, find it here at Shore Grow, obviously, and we do really appreciate your guys' support on that. Gabe and I are also very available, whether it's on Instagram, anything like that. For any questions, I'm Jaren_H_. You can find Gabe at G4Orth. We're easy to find. We actually answer your questions, and in fact, we really, you know, that's the part, at least I can say for myself, which really kind of keeps it all going or keeps me motivated is getting those interactions with people, having people, hearing people's success story, helping them be successful. I came out of the retail situation as well. Shout out to Way to Grow, Colorado. I came out of that camp, and which actually probably more reps in the industry came out of that individual set of grow stores than anything else in the country. It's pretty wild.
True too.
That's a true story.
And genetics.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. I never worked there. I never worked there.
Names.
Never worked there.
So we really do enjoy that the interaction. We also will be at CanCon in Richmond on I guess that's in October. So that's fairly close to here. Hopefully we get a bunch of East Coast folks out there, and I'll actually be at CanCon Chicago here in like 2 weeks. In case anybody happens to be out there, I'll be set up for the 10x10 all weekend. So come find us. Let's hook you up with samples. Let's hook you up with swag. Again, thank you guys so much for having us on, and hopefully you learned something.
Fuck yeah. I mean, I know I fucking did. So
it's time to go smoke a joint.
Amen. Safety break. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Stay tuned for future sessions like such. And thank you two gentlemen, especially for bringing the truth.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, we try and be as real as possible. The way we look on here is the same way if you meet us in public, where it's the same. We don't have time for personas. We don't have time for ego. We're just trying to help people be better.
Our thing is too, man, like, we want to see everybody succeed. I always use the car analogies, but I show up to the track and realize that somebody with a Chrysler and a Ford, we're all going to make it down the track. We're going to have a good time. We're going to pull good passes. Yeah. So how do I make everything a little bit better? And that's really what we're about, is making everything a little bit better, making everything a little more individual, helping people. I don't want to see everybody doing the same damn thing. And that's really what it comes down to. The one thing I will leave you with, on piggybacking on what Jaron said, is like, yes, pop more seeds, but when you do and you find something cool, don't hoard it out. Like, don't
hold on to it.
Yeah, hold on to it. Like,
keep it special.
Like, the way to make things valuable is to not give it to freaking everyone.
Now at least back it up with one person, because some shit
I'm
happens.
not saying we've had that discussion about why so many things did disappear historically, because
people hoarded it.
Well, and because like I said to him, through the mid, let's say 95 through 2010, that dark time of pre-legalization. Even though technically it was medically legal in 96. Realistically, nothing happened historically until 2008-9, until Obama became president, like we said last time, wrote the Cole Memorandum. But in that 12 years, in that 14 years, a lot of people got busted who didn't back things up, who didn't give it to the homie because they didn't want it getting out. And so we lost a lot of really neat stuff. And so, yes, we're working with somewhat of a limited gene pool right now, with a lot of people running runts and crosses and all the rest of that stuff. And so what I would say to people is, if you do get genetics and you do find something cool, don't go give it to every person you have. Give it to a couple people, make sure you have it backed up, but make it special, that's the one thing. And that's where we come in as well, is we try and help that individualization go to that next level, because if you have something that's really special, you want to give it food that's really special.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't want to be feeding it the mids. And if you are feeding it the mids, you at least want to use good salt and pepper and oregano.
Yeah, at least use good spices, folks. We got great spices. Great spices.
And that's really where it's kind of easy for us, because we give you good spices.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So if your steak ain't that great, you got good spices. And honestly, if you go to some foreign countries, you eat some steak that's not that great, but it has good spices in it.
So whatever.
So we appreciate you guys, man.
Thank you guys very much.
You're awesome supporters. So thank you as always, Doug.
Absolutely. Peace out, everybody.
Deuces.